evening and welcome to 27 Minutes here on WJTS 27. Residents in the Ireland area are concerned about mine dust coming from the Shamrock mine operated by Solar Sources. Earlier this week, the two sides, along with IDEM and the Dubois County Health Department, met at the Shamrock restaurant in Ireland to try to work some of the problems out. When we come back here on 27 Minutes, we will head out to that meeting, so please stay with us. At Monday's meeting at the Shamrock between Solar Sources coal mines and the Ireland residents, Dubois County Health Department official Donna Oding set the ground rules for the meeting.
And I thought it would be a good idea if we could bring everybody together and kind of express your concerns that you have directly to both IDEM, who is the issuer of the permit, and to Solar Sources, who is the holder of the permit and the operator of the mine, and try and make sure you understand what the permit requirements are, what is allowable by the permit, what is not allowable, what the law allows them to do and it doesn't do. And then hopefully let you ask some of your questions that you have specifically, and hopefully Mike Owens here from the mine can address those, or Dave or Gene from IDEM. I'll introduce them. I think you know some of these names and faces. Gene Kelso is the air inspector, for lack of better terms, from the Department of Environmental Management, the Petersburg office. If you all call me, that's who I turn the complaints over to. I always turn them directly over to Gene. Okay. Dave Holder is the Deputy Assistant Director, Deputy Director of IDEM's Petersburg office. So he's kind of our overseer on this. And then we have Mike Owens from Solar Sources. Come on in, that's all right. That's all right. Please just sign in and we're just going to getting started. So that's who is here. I'd like you guys to ask your questions. We're going to try and keep this calm and collected. There's no need to get excited or upset with each other, but we want you to be able to express your concerns about what's going on in your neighborhood and see if we can make sure we all feel a little bit better about it. First, I'm going to have Gene or Dave talk a little bit about fugitive dust emissions, what's allowable by the state law and what's not. That'll kind of, I hope, set the boundaries as to what is allowable. Then we'll kind of just go from there. So,
okay, the main thing we'd be looking for is visible dust crossing the property lines. It has to be done by a qualified observer. This means somebody that has taken visible emission training and everything. So that would be the main thing we're looking for. There are some conditions in the permit too about dust from traffic, and it's also on a percent opacity thing. Also from their storage piles. We got some documents here to pass around if you want to take one. The first one is the rule. And the thing you want to look for there is on this back page under section 2, number 4. It says if visible, if fugitive dust is visible crossing the boundary or property line of a source, that would be a violation. The other one is what we call a non-rule policy document regarding dust from coal mines, and it tells about some exceptions there, and also the dust crossing a county highway would be a violation too. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. We'll have some business cards here. Stack up over here if you want to pick one up. It's our office number. We've also got a toll-free number to contact us. Any questions I can try to answer right now?
If I have pictures that show dust crossing property line,
It has to be observed.
okay. It has them there 24 hours a day.
That's pretty hard to do.
If I have documentation saying that dust crossed over Leo Strauss's property on my father's land that came out of that permit area, then why is that not legal?
Take that, Dave.
The question was, if you have photographs of what you consider fugitive dust violation, why can we not accept those as evidence? We can take those as indication, but as Gene said, the law says a qualified observer has to actually observe it. So we cannot utilize that as evidence. We can use that as support, but not as an evidence of a
So
violation.
when I call your office,
Is this a 24-hour
And-
line to call you?
yeah,
Say that this,
Our office is not open 24 hours, but you're welcome to call and leave a
but
voicemail.
I mean, a lot of times it's at night.
Right.
Night is
Well-
really bad.
Okay, well, we can let Mr. Owens discuss what kind of operations may take place overnight. What I'm saying is, we have limited resources. We have Gene and one other air inspector to cover. At this point, it's going to be about 17 counties, so we can't always be there. We cannot always be there.
right? I mean, I don't want to seem like I'm flying off the handle, but by the same token, you can't be there 24 hours a day.
We
You
are.
can't be there. We live there 24 hours a day. They mine 20 hours a day, maintenance 4 hours a day. They can run their water trucks from time to time. Because it's too cold, this and that, whatever. Don't get me wrong, I understand some things. But guys, we've got to do a better job. Law, I mean, I wish some lawmakers were here. We need to get better laws in place to protect the owners around the pit center. If we have to have a qualified observer observe dust leaving that mine, and all these pictures don't mean nothing, and I can get a sample of the dust out of my filter, a sample off my car, and take it to a lab, and say, yeah, this ain't regular topsoil, this is stuff out of that bottom of that pit.
We found
Is
all
that
our
not good
own
enough?
car too.
Well, from the standpoint of the way the regulations are written, again, it's a matter of us observing it, collecting. If we collect our own samples, those are considered legitimate for our use
Right.
to balance against what the regulation says. Doesn't prohibit you from acting on your own behalf.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't mean though that we can't accept that as proof of that violation.
And the other thing, since I'm airing a little bit, when I called your office back on April 16th, I did talk to Mr. Gutgsell.
Are you, Mr.
Tony.
Hall?
And, the office basically said, at that point in time, I just wanted somebody to come out and look. I said, I got all this dust in the back of my house. I want somebody to come out and look. They said, well, you filed a complaint. I said, no, I really don't want to file a complaint. I said, I just want somebody to come out and observe. No, if you want somebody to come out, we've got to have a complaint filed. I said, okay, file a complaint. Go ahead and file it. I said, but I didn't want to be a butt about it. I wanted to be a good neighbor to the homeowner. I have a lot of family and friends that work that mine.
Well, that's just a technicality for us in order to justify the use of the tax dollar in order to follow up. That's all that is. It's not in any way trying to elude your concern. We had another question. First of all, is that what, are you done at this
Yes,
point?
I'm done.
Okay.
You don't have a particle trap to check the particles across the line? If you can't observe it, there is a particle trap that you can
We don't
set
have-
up for that, is there not?
As far as the particle trap, you're talking about a collection method to actually sample the air that's coming across the mine property.
Right.
Those are set up on spot situations, and at this point, we're not setting those up routinely on mines. Those are not set up routinely
Well, you're not
as a
doing
matter.
routine when you have a complaint here that's been filed and we are at this meeting now. Does this not justify a particle trap being in place?
Whether it justifies it or not, we have, again, limited resources from Indianapolis. Those folks from our air monitoring program are the ones who would be in charge of that. At this point, we've just kind of got involved in this from a complaint standpoint more recently than what the mine has been here 2 years, I guess, in that neighborhood. We've been dealing with a more of an overall concern just within the last few months.
See, you're only observing through the day. I farm back through there, and I get up fairly early. And there's a couple of mornings when I left. Now that what they call the temple on top of the processed coal, I don't know if that falls under the regulations of the actually mining permit or not.
Yes,
But
sir.
honestly, I thought that thing was on fire 2 mornings in a row. I had to look 2 or 3 times to make sure it wasn't on fire. It was black smoke coming out of two of them buildings. It was such black crossing heading. It was actually heading southeast, southwest out of that out of the temple up there. And I think, it looks to me, you need something that'll monitor it at night. When I think that coal processor is actually working its heaviest at night. Because I haven't seen it through the day. I'm around there almost 24/7. And the most I've seen out of that thing has been early morning.
And you're talking about from the processing itself, as
Yeah,
opposed to the fugitive death.
I don't know if they run that thing just at night, exactly when, but the processing of the black coal, which is the black soot at night, but just not the, you're talking visible. You only said the day. I'm talking nighttime hours.
I understand.
I don't know when they run that, but I know the worst I've seen is in the morning, early mornings. That's the only time I ever see it.
About what time would that be?
Well, depends. It was like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Okay. We have certain limitations from the standpoint of being able to determine opacity off of things. Of course, you have to have sunlight in order to see it and determine violations. Now, as far as the operation of the temple and whether there's operations that are occurring at that time, Mr. Owens can address that here in just a minute. But the rules and the permit say a 20% opacity limitation, particularly because Dubois County is a non-attainment area for particulates and that sort of thing. So they have a lower limit than what other counties around here have. So I can't really say, not knowing the operation in particular, and again, Mr. Owen may address this here in just a minute, as to what goes on and how it's done and what those might be coming from.
We could request a high volume sample test. But I don't
We can request a high volume sample test, but it doesn't guarantee that they'll do it right away. We've got these same type of situations throughout the state, so we can certainly request it.
Can you control their blasting on how much they blast at any one set time? Because
That's
if they run
not
a full blast. I had a friend, I talked to a friend last night. He's not here. He said he just happened to be home. He's never home. He said, I happen to be home. They set up a charge, and he said that cloud of dust went over his house and said it looked like a nuclear holocaust.
That's something you guys need to do. If you want to watch something and want to be there,
Yes.
contact the blasting time when they have blasting times, and that's when you need to be there.
We don't
Yes,
have any
correct.
control over the blast.
If you talk to Mr. Owen, Mike Owen has control.
Yeah.
Mike Owen can give you
No.
those blasting times.
Excuse me. What I'm trying to say is, we do not regulate the blasting. That's regulated
No,
through the
the
Department
dust.
of Natural Resources.
The dust.
That would indicate
Okay.
when you should be there to monitor the dust because of the blast and the effect of the blast.
Okay, we can authorize that.
Because it's been bad. I mean, you can sit on
I know
there.
you don't have control over the amount of vibration and
Right, right.
but the reaction of the blast, the dust it causes.
That is something that's very hard to control. About the only way they can control that is catch it when the wind's going towards unpopulated areas.
And I know the guy blasting, and he's doing a good job. Good family friend. So,
We're saying to run a smaller blast so you have smaller clouds. That's the team blast.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, we live down the lane, and our barn is like 150 yards at the end of the road. I'm talking about
Which
main
way?
porch.
North, south? Give us,
I would be facing west, looking out. And when they dynamited, I called down to Mike Owens, and he could not see our barn. No exaggeration, at 150 yards. That barn was not visible.
Okay. And what time of day was that?
That's
There's a
afternoon.
lot of times in the
Sometimes
afternoons
in
they
the
do
afternoon.
that.
And it was so black. I mean, you couldn't have gotten any blacker. And it came right at our house.
And it wasn't even windy that day.
No. We
What's
stand out on
the
my
still?
front porch when the wind's blowing 25 miles per hour.
I can look out my back window and watch them, and it just, when they blast that one day, you could just see the smoke. It looked like a snowstorm. You can even
But I
cut
mean,
it
how
on
much
top of
too
it.
much and how much is not enough?
Yes.
You know? I mean, whenever you can't see a structure at 150 yards, it's too dusty. And I went out there within seconds. You could taste the sulfur on your mouth. You can feel it. If you work outside for an hour,
You can tell
a
it.
day, you can feel the dust, you can taste the dust, you can taste the sulfur. So how big is that for a week? I mean, how much do you allow us to have to tolerate?
From the,
Does our cancer rate have to go up for you?
no, sir,
I mean, really, I'm an avid gardener, I'm out there a lot. There's nothing for me to spend $25 at a time in my garden. I can't tolerate more than an hour. You can't tolerate the taste that you get on your mouth. And I'm, it's just no exaggeration, it's just the fact. And I used to take walks out there in the evenings, forget that. You can't take a walk in the evenings because the dust is so intense.
now, again, are you talking about right after a blast event, or are you talking about?
I'm talking anytime, when any type of machinery is moving out there, I mean, it's all the time. And when you wash your windowsills and 2 days later you can write your name in them, I mean, how much is that? How much is too much?
That's true. Exactly.
Is that right? I mean, overnight it
Windowsills are
happens.
terrible.
But see, you gotta see that dust crossing the property line by qualified observer. So the 25 people in this room are all crazy.
Well, I tell you what, we need to have them out there to start going.
No,
not
just
great.
hang on, just
Okay,
hang on.
okay.
The way the rule is written, and it's written, I think it's written for a reason this way, because, and I'm not discounting what you're saying. What I'm saying is, for us as an agency, whenever somebody complains to us about fugitive dust on their property, and I'm going to give you a good example down in Mount Vernon. They have a refinery in Mount Vernon. We know that the only source of catalyst in that area would come from a refinery. Yet whenever the refinery has an upset in their catalytic converter and it shoots catalyst on downtown Mount Vernon, and we can't cite that as a violation of the fugitive dust rule, even though we know that's the only source where catalyst can come from because we did not observe it.
Same situation here. Solar source is the only source of coal.
Right.
If we find coal dust on your property, we know where it came from. We just gotta see it get.
So that's kind of where we are with the regulation and the rule. It's not in any way saying that you don't know what you're talking about or that we don't believe you.
I know what you're saying. I just know it's a long-term thing. It's a catch-22 of the law.
Well, you understand.
The law needs to be changed, but for solar and a permit for them, the law being changed will not help us in this room.
Well, what-
Be every grandfathered in. So we need to, if we're going to help people in the future, we need to get laws changed to help people outside of our. This needs to be a little more controlled. The law needs to be changed. And that's where we need to go to our lawmaker and say, this is a catch-22. There's a lot of laws out there to have this.
Well, that's something that you can do. But let's kind of talk about what we can do in this situation.
Yeah.
In this situation, because it's a matter of applying resources to actually observe what's going on, Gene Kelso does have this on kind of a routine thing where he's driving through. Now, maybe he's not catching it at the right times, and I think it's a good suggestion that we find out what the blasting times are and observe during those time frames. We have no problem with doing that, okay? From the standpoint of whether we're actually going to observe a violation, a lot depends on the wind direction, because if that blast goes off and it goes on the mine property only and it's not visible, by the time it gets to a property line, then we're not going to see a violation. Now, somebody was commenting about how thick does it have to get before it's a violation. Well, if it's coming across the property line and we're there where we can see it, if it's at ground level, then we can determine that that's a violation. But it has to be at ground level. Now, if it goes up in the air and you can see a plume, but yet it's passing over our heads and it's going beyond, that technically is not a violation. I'm not trying to make excuses here. What I'm saying is we actually have to observe it that way at ground level across that property line. Now, you were passed out a copy of a non-rule policy document that talks about how certain things out of mine will be exempted once it's reclaimed, if it's considered agricultural activity. If there's a county road passing through a mine where the mine operates on both sides of the county road, and we all are subject to fugitive dust on that county road as we're passing through, at that one side of the road, if it passes across that county road, we can count that as a violation. Now, if the mine takes control of that road during the process of moving the mine north within their lease and then they cut it off, and you shouldn't be going through there because they control it, then that probably wouldn't be considered a violation.
I said, it also said something about permit area, non-permit area, because I know my father's farm is on leased the phone line. Does that mean is he still in the permit area? Or just the people that are leased in the permit area?
I can't define that for myself. Mr. Owen might be able to explain that better, but I don't. That's a property line.
I would like to know that, because, I mean, that's leaving the permit area. If I'm 300 feet away from the permit, I mean, I think I'm off the permit area. I may be in the permit area, but my land is not leased to the phone line.
That's a good question.
So I don't know.
Do you know how far your permit area goes? I mean, by looking at the plat map here, we do have
Yes.
sort of rendering real big.
Our permit area on the south side, Tony, is the county road.
Kind of,
And on the east side, it would also be the county road.
so a small landowner, like let's say an Andy Daniel, having 1 acre of land, her land would be encompassed in that permit area.
Specifically, yes, that property is included inside the permit area.
So she would not have, even if IDM came over to Andy Daniel's house, sat in her driveway, seen dust come over top of her house, by law, she's in the permit area, therefore she would not be entitled to any, it wouldn't be a violation.
Based on what, if that's part of the lease.
But still, no, it's not leased.
It's not
No,
leased.
No, it's included in our permit area, but it's not leased. The property line issue would still be
It
valid.
would still be valid.
So the law says it's got to be in a permit area, the dust has to be, or crossing a property line?
If it stays within the permit area, and I believe I'd
Okay.
have to look at this a little closer to see how it's exactly
Okay,
written.
so a small landowner being inside the permit, maybe inside the permit area,
Could indeed.
and
There
catch
could
all
be a
the dust they
violation.
want.
Yeah, there could technically be a violation.
That's good to know.
We have another question in the back.
Do you mean a particle trap wouldn't be viable enough for you to warrant a?
That's what those are used for. That's what those are used for.
Okay.
But you have to have them installed and actually run again during a time frame where something is happening.
They don't run 24/7.
They do have some, basically what this rule says, you would have two of them. They're called high-volume samplers. And it's like a vacuum cleaner with a filter on it, traps the particles. You have one upwind, one downwind. And they're allowed to add, I think it's 50 micrograms per cubic meter of dust to the air as it crosses the property. Anything above that would be a violation. And I will contact our monitoring branch and see if they can do something down here.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's basically the only way you're gonna have anything to
That's another way.
find them is a particle machine to find out the particles, because you won't see it at night, and you won't be there at the right time.
That is one way to determine a violation, in addition to the visibly crossing the property line.
How long does that monitor run for? I mean, is it just a quick shot, or is it an hour, is it 24 hours? That's
It would
why.
be a minimum of an hour.
Okay. What's the maximum they can run?
Usually when they do this automatic sample test, it will run like 3 one-hour tests with monitoring that. Then they average.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that in the back, but he said what they do is set them up for 3 one-hour tests and then average that over the course of the time that they take.
Another question, just trying to learn again. What are the qualifications of a qualified representative of the commissioner? And who is the commissioner?
Commissioner is Tom Easterly in Indianapolis.
Stand up, Tom, so that.
Sorry. I'm hard hearing too, so.
The commissioner is Tom Easterly. He's from Indianapolis. Qualified observer would be like myself. I have to be certified every 6 months.
Okay.
As a visible emission evaluator.
Okay, how do you get started in being a, is it 4 years of college? Is it a 6-week course of night school? Is it a 2-week course of 1-hour sessions? You know, there might be some people in this room that live in this area that could be a qualified representative and just not be an employee of the state.
I think they have to be an employee.
Well, in order to
I'm just putting things out there.
in order to be a qualified observer for the state, you have to be an employee of the state.
Okay.
Now, the process of becoming certified for reading opacity is a matter of going to what we call smoke school. They literally run opacity qualifications through a smokestack. You have white and black smoke, and you have to hit a certain percentage in order to be qualified as a qualified observer.
So it really wouldn't be.
It's not a college education type thing. It's a matter of going through the process.
You go through a couple hours class, and then you have to pass a certification test. They said they're in 25 white smoke, 25 black smoke. You can't miss any of them by 20%. You have to have an average of less than 7.5% to do it. And we have to be recertified every 6 months.
Are there any other general questions about the permit or what may or may not constitute a violation? I think what might be appropriate at this point is maybe, Mike, would you like to talk about the operations and what kind of controls and things you have in place and how those operate?
Sure. My name's Michael, and I work for Solar Sources. I have an office in Petersburg, and this is one of our mines out here, so the Shamrock Mine. Things we do out there to control dust is really pretty simple. About the only thing you can do is operate a water truck. We have 2 trucks on site. One of them runs nearly all the time. Sometimes after rain or whatever, it doesn't have to be running. The idea is to minimize the dust generation off the haul roads that we utilize. Dust from other locations, I don't know what we could possibly do. One thing these gentlemen did mention is there's an issue about high wind conditions specified in the regulations. Once in a while that does happen. I know twice in the last couple of months that has been an issue. That's very tough to deal with because it just picks dirt up from the field and carries it. There's nothing anybody can really do about that. Those are exemptions from the regulations. But as far as what we can control are dust off the haul roads and dust in the prep plant area. And we do that with water sprays, generally from the trucks. And we have a person that does that basically full-time, except for very minor times of getting off to do some fueling or whatever. They basically run a water truck full-time in weather conditions like this when it's sunny and hot. As Tony mentioned earlier, there are some times when it's not practical to run a water truck. Real cold in wintertime, it's freezing conditions. Sometimes that's tough because as soon as it hits the ground, it freezes. Alternative issues need to be looked at and things like that. But other than controlling dust off the haul road, there's not a lot that can be done. Now, dust generated from blasting has been brought to the attention of a lot of people recently. We're looking into that to try to figure out what it is we can do to try to lessen that. We know that that's a problem whenever those blasting sites are high in the geologic column. If they're generally blasts that are down low in the pit are not a problem. The dust kind of stays there. But if we're high on the hill and we put off the shot, I know there's a lot of dust that comes out from the face of it. If it were just dust on top of the ground, we could probably control that by spraying them off the top of the ground down with water. But that's not the case from what I've seen. I generally see it come out the front of the face. So, I don't know, we're looking at issues we could try to do to help control that, and I'm not sure what it can be just yet.